So I will call the meeting to order. This is the Greenfield Commission on Disability Access. I'm Lynn Kelly, Chair, and I'm going to go around and just do the roll call. We'll start with Lindsay Roll and Virginia DeSoga is here.
Here.
And Doug Mayo.
Here.
And Pamela McBride. Hi,
Here.
Pamela. Bob Williford.
Here.
And Laura Jordan.
Here.
Yeah. Okay. We want to do the approval of the minutes from October 14th. And I just have one just very tiny thing, no big deal, but it says draft of minutes from Friday, October 14th. It just should be Thursday. Seems like a silly thing, but anyway, that was one of the major things or small things that I saw. Anybody else? Bob? Yep.
There is just a typo where we're talking about the sidewalk beside the library, and it says the sidewalk was ever used. I think that's supposed to be sidewalk was never used.
Okay. So
I couldn't open up the meeting minutes. For whatever reason. Maybe I sent it to my wife to see if she could open up the document. I'm going to see if she sent it back to me. Let's see.
do we want to table it? And
Yeah, because I mean, I can't.
And give you a chance to review it.
Well, it's not a big deal. I'll take it. I'll probably be able to get it. She wasn't able to send it to me yet, but I'm sure I'll be able to take a look at it. And following past procedure, there's been minor issues with it, so I'll accept whatever is there.
Okay.
I'll take whatever is everybody's word for it that it's okay.
Okay. Then I'm going to ask for Virginia. Did you want to
move to? Do we have a motion on the table? Move to approve. Do we have a motion already, or do you need a second?
No, I need a motion to approve.
Okay, move to approve.
Second, Mayo.
Yep, and Bob.
Sure.
Okay, so the minutes are accepted as amended. All right. Treasurer's report.
Okay. Drum roll, please.
It depends out.
Okay. The official treasurer's report is the current balance. Wait a minute. This is okay. This is the budget. The handicap parking fund beginning balance was 3,221.05, and the ending balance is 3,421.05. $3,421.05. And the other one is the other one, it says, I had these printed out and I'm looking at it now and I'm going, our available budget is $300.
Okay.
Which is basically unchanged.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Second, Mayo?
Good,
Yes.
all agree.
Yes.
All right. Motion is accepted. The treasurer's report is accepted. Okay, on to MassMatch. I'm sorry that Virginia and Laura missed that last month. It was really good. It was very interesting. I'm sure as you can read through the minutes, some of the information that was available. Bob was helpful and touched base with Hope McCrary about having the, I keep calling it the Antiques Roadshow, but it's the Assistive Technology Roadshow come to the senior center. I heard back from Hope and they are booked up for November and December. And she felt we should wait till the springtime, just because of weather conditions, that we'd get a better turnout. Yeah, I mean, I would certainly agree with that. As I thought, though, I'm eager to get my hands on all the gadgets and see the different things that they have. But I could always contact them myself. I did have some thought about the possibility of maybe doing something sooner at Greenfield Community College. And the reason that I thought that was the man from MassMatch, Saul, said that they have an on-site presence at Berkshire Community College. They have set up I think he said a 14,000 square foot space where people can come and try things. Yeah, I think doing it as the roadshow at this point in the winter probably would not be ideal, and I'm not sure that we'd get the same turnout if we had it at the community college.
May
But
I?
once I just want to finish my thoughts so I won't forget. He did mention that they're looking for a brick and mortar site in Greenfield, both in Greenfield and Springfield. A permanent place. And I know nobody has extra space available, but if anybody knows about a space that might work for them, it would be great to have it in our town. So Ginny was first and then Laura.
I'm sorry, Lynn. Pardon me for interrupting.
No,
But
it's fine.
I just wanted you to know I did reach out right away that we spoke because we're neighbors. We were just talking when I was going up the street, and she said the MassMatch presentation was wonderful. I reached out to my one contact that I had at GCC, who never got back to me.
Okay.
That very day I did. And the second thing was I tried, and I will take, Bob or anybody that wants to help me later. I tried 3 times to get on to the MassMatch website. I registered. I knew what my password was, and I couldn't get in because Lynn had told me that the things were fascinating. So I need extra help on that. It sounded fabulous, but the real point of my speaking was if anybody else had contacted GCC, because mine didn't work out.
Okay. And Laura, you had your hand raised?
My question was, since they have 14,000 square feet at Berkshire Community.
I'm sorry, I meant 1,400.
Oh, I was going to say,
I'm sorry.
do they need that much space in Greenfield? That would be asking a lot. Okay, thank you. 1,400. Thank you.
Pamela, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I don't know if everyone, I just want to make sure everyone knows this, but starting with the January term, anyone who goes into a GCC building must be vaccinated. Do you know that? Okay.
No, I
So
didn't.
that's the going, or you have to be proof of being tested weekly. So they're
Oh,
going
okay.
to that in January, just so you know for your planning.
Okay, thank you. Good to know. Important. So, Virginia, you might, I can give you the name and web email for Sal, who came and gave the presentation. And he also might be a good contact to help you get into the website.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, I'm like I said, I'm just eager to get my hands on all the different equipment that they had, but I like gadgets. All right. Next on the agenda is building accessibility, and I just wanted to touch base. Pam, if you could just give us an update on what might be happening with the library.
Oh, yes. So I'm going to give you the really positive news first.
Okay.
The city has given us two 15-minute parking spots in front
Great.
of the library, closest to the end
Mhm.
of towards the fence. So they're currently won't be available probably until Tuesday because they're doing construction on Main Street. They have to divert water sources for this building. So it's a little messy out there right now. So that's happening. The abatement should be complete tomorrow. And then as long as the permits for the demolition, excavation and building of those permits come through, they can start the demolition next week of the fire station. However, next week, we are going to be losing the sidewalk on the children's room side of the building for the duration of the project. They are going to move the fence. It's going to abut the shrubs and the burn. So, and it's going to start from the street all the way to the emergency exit of the children's room, which will now no longer be an emergency exit for the children's room. So we still have the back door and the two side door, the two entrances. But in order to, if you have a stroller or a walker or a wheelchair, if you need to come into the back door, you will have to enter it through the Greenfield Savings Bank parking lot. So there's that. And we are, hope by the next meeting, we should have the curbside pickup program completely in place. We're just doing some final touches, but we are going to be offering curbside pickup for anyone who can't get into the library, especially during the winter. It will be an appointment. People will call, say, hey, I'm coming down. And then we will take out their materials for them. We will also incorporate a reader's advisory. And of course, we'll take their materials that they need to return for anyone who needs that service. And you know, it's tough and it's not fun, but we're really trying to look at this as, you know, it's short-term inconvenience for 18 months for a really massive positive improvement for the library. So we're a construction zone. So
Right.
unfortunately, we're going to have to make do as best we can.
And was there any other feedback from Greenfield Savings Bank about parking there?
We have not heard anything. We have not gotten an answer back from them, so we're thinking it's probably a no. I'm sure possibly some of it could be liability.
Mhm.
It's also, I mean, it's more convenient than having to walk all the way around Federal Street, but it wasn't a great situation. So that's why we did ask the mayor for the 2 spots. We had asked for
front.
4 out
With-
front. We'd asked for 4. We're starting off with 2.
Mhm.
And the mayor did tell Ellen that it would be revisited if it becomes very popular. But we're starting with 2. So
Bob was first and then Ginny.
I would ask that somebody from the library go down and look at the where the path down to the Greenfield Savings Bank parking lot ends. There's kind of a lump there. I don't know if it's a speed bump to keep people from speeding in their wheelchairs or what, but it looks like it's a little higher than the ADA specification. Maybe DPW could come and shave that down a little bit. And I think we talked about it at the last meeting and had some pictures that there is no handicap parking on that side by that path because there's no curb cut. So if you park there, you couldn't get up anyway. You'd have to go down toward the bank and then come down the sidewalk. So I think anywhere you park in handicap parking, just head toward the bank and come around. So maybe there'd be some handouts at the library to say, if you need handicap parking, tell your friends this is a way to get in the back door.
okay, oh, that's a good suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Ginny?
So 2 things. That all sounds wonderful. It sounds like we're moving along with that. And Pam, this would be the first part is for you. When I missed a meeting. I missed last month's meeting. My daughter had Halloween twins, 2 little pumpkins.
Congratulations.
And
Congrats.
yes, 2 little pumpkins on Halloween. So I missed last month's meeting. So I was out of touch with this and but really, Pam, I know that you are our go-to person. I had talked to Ed Berlin probably 2 months ago, and he said for me to talk to him if there was anything with the parking, because he'd reach out to Ed Berlin. But that's all set, right? I should just be silent and leave that to you. Is that correct?
Yes, and what I
Okay.
will do is I will take these suggestions, I will take it back to the people that I need to take it, and then,
Perfect.
okay?
That's perfect. And the second thing I wanted to say was yesterday, I was just thinking about the construction zone part of this because I had a tour of the fire station and the temporary fire station. And it occurred to me, putting my disability hat on, that perhaps we should have something in the newspaper or in the public media, so in some kind of forum, that people knew that sidewalks on such and such a place were going to be, that they weren't going to be able to use those. It's better to plan your route ahead of time, I would think, than to get there. And Chief Strahan was indicating that, and I don't know if this was officially indicating or not, because I've learned a lot of things about saying things officially or unofficially, but we were walking back. He said that part of the sidewalk on the side of Hope Street, right adjacent to the temporary place where they house the fire engines, would be closed because snow might slide off there in the winter. And I thought, and then when I walked back, my car was up by the library. And I thought to myself, well, whoever is looking over that, and And Pam, I know you're just doing the library part, but maybe Lindsay, you could find out and we could put something in the paper so people would know, like, don't go this way. If you're hoping to come down and walk this way, like that sidewalk might be closed and this sidewalk might not be open.
I can't speak for the city, but I can speak for the library. We found out this morning officially, and so we are in the process internally of putting together the flyers and the emails and the what we need to do to get the message out to the community that we are closing the sidewalk next week. So that's what we've been working on today. So
Perfect.
you know, flyers, information will go out, if not later today, then first thing Friday morning, because we're not here tomorrow.
You give absolutely fabulous information via the internet, so thank you. And thank you for your attention to all of this.
Okay, so the other issue about building accessibility came up. Bob mentioned it about the town hall access ramp. Did you want to just quickly say something about that, or did you want me to?
I was looking at the ramp, and it seems to me like the ADA standards say there needs to be a handrail on both sides of a ramp.
Yeah.
So there is no handrail by the building side. Maybe I'm misinterpreting something, but I think that's the case. I know my wife, when she was having some problems with an ankle, would always want to have the handrail on her right side. So going up that ramp would be fine. Coming back down would be a little bit of a problem for her. So I think that's why they require ramps to have rails on both sides. And while we were at it, I questioned whether that ramp has the right slope. And Jenny went and measured that with an angulometer or something, and decided that it's okay for
Yeah.
slope. So the
So,
question is, do we want to knock on City Hall's door
right.
officially as the commission to say, where's your rail?
And what would be the best way to do that, Lindsay? I'm asking. Should we bring that to you? Should we write a letter to the mayor?
I'm happy as the ADA coordinator to take a complaint or concern
Okay.
from a resident or from the committee,
Mhm.
and then bring that to the mayor. There's a process through which that goes. So
Okay.
you all can certainly go directly to the mayor.
Yeah.
Do we need to make a motion on that, or can we just have it as a discussion point that we would recommend it?
I'm going to defer to Lindsay as to what's the appropriate
If
thing.
the committee wants to be the one bringing this forward, I think there needs to be a motion. And if an individual member would like to bring this forward, then I don't think you need a motion.
Okay.
I think it makes sense that the committee do it.
Okay.
Put more
Bob
weight
had-
behind it.
Bob had his hand up. Did you?
I was just going to say, as we're looking at the former Karen's Dance Studio next to the parking garage, which we will talk about today,
Right.
the ramp that comes down from the parking garage also only has a rail on one side. So I don't know if again, that's something that's specific to parking garage ramps, or if that needs a rail as well on the side of that ramp. But then I do have another recommendation for accessibility in the parking garage, so we can talk about that maybe then. I don't know.
Okay. Well, probably would be, I think it might be a little easier right now to just do them separately.
Right.
So I'll make a motion that the commission would like to let the mayor know that we need to have a second handrail on the town hall ramp.
Second? Mayo,
In favor.
In
So-
favor.
Mhm.
In favor?
in favor?
Okay.
And Lindsay, may I ask that you send an email to all of us when you've reached out to the mayor?
Yes, I can CC you all on that.
Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda, did anyone else have anything else to say about the town hall ramp? Okay.
Lynn,
I'm sorry,
I would
Bob.
say,
Yeah.
I would say, as we're talking about general accessibility, you know, I'm an inveterate meeting attender. I go to a lot of meetings virtually anyway. And I would say I went to the health department, health board meeting, and they made a point that during their food inspections, and basically anybody who sells a bag of potato chips gets a health inspection. When they inspected the Dollar General store, they wrote them up because they had so much product in the aisles that it was an ADA violation.
Yeah.
So we are not the only ones with the ADA sash in town. I wanted to say that.
Thank you. I mean, that's wonderful to hear. I'm really glad that that they have that lens on as they're doing their assessment. And yeah, great, because that is a problem in stores. Yeah, it's always tempting to start filling aisles with more stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Under COVID-19 information, I'm sure all of you just saw that, just that the mask mandate has been lifted by the mayor as of the 8th. But of course, different businesses will have their own rules. For instance, I know at the co-op, they're still asking people to wear masks. So that's sort of the latest COVID news. I think we'll touch base in the next with the next item about the new standards for the new ADA standards for website. But Bob had brought up an interesting observation that I think it was Rite Aid, the business Rite Aid, the pharmacy Rite Aid had been brought up on charges by the DOJ because their website to sign up for COVID was not in compliance. I think it was it for screen readers? Was that the issue?
I don't remember exactly. I just know that it was very difficult if you were using assistive technology to try to use their website to make an appointment.
Right. So I just also bring that up because if people happen to go to a website and note that, you know, just let me know. We can. And I didn't get a chance yet to look at the new standards. When were they instituted? Bob, do you know?
Not certain, and you know, there are different levels of standards too. There are federal standards, which are the strongest ones, but they get adopted by states and municipalities, so it may all just trickle down. I know in speaking to the company that currently maintains the town's website, they've said there need to be many more what they call alt tags for photos, for images, to describe what they are for screen readers. Because if you can't see them, well, it doesn't help much. But they have lost the contract. So I understand that a company out of Kansas, strangely enough, is going to be designing the city's new website. So I think we probably want to make sure that we let them know that we have ADA concerns about accessibility. And I did, in an email to the mayor, mention that we're always available to advise on things like that. Don't know that I know a whole lot about it, but I do know that it exists and I know how to find more.
That's what we love about you, Bob. I have to say that. It's just fabulous. And I don't know if it was you or Lynn that sent me the video. It was a tutorial on website accessibility, and it was how big the font had to be, and about closed captioned. It was fascinating. I forget who sent that to me, but I watched it and I was like, wow, I learned a lot. I think I was talking to you about it, Lynn.
Yeah, but I think it was Bob who found it.
Yes.
Sent it.
And that if you don't have closed captioned on something when you're, did we already have this discussion? Because I'm getting older now. But if you didn't have closed caption on, you lose so much. You lose like 60% of what people are saying, like just in general. I think it's just fabulous that we get this information.
Yeah. I'm glad to see too that there's just a real movement to making sure these websites are workable for people. Yeah. Okay.
The new company, I can just say, does the city of Pittsfield's website. So if people have questions or want to see an example of their current standards, that is one of the groups.
I'm sorry, did you say the city of Pittsfield?
Pittsfield, Massachusetts. Yep.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Would be a good example. Yeah. Okay. So next on the agenda was I'm just going to kind of put these together a little bit. Was the ARPA listening session. And the Court Square project, and also included was the downtown rapid recovery. So I went to that, and my only problem was that I can't seem to find a way to be able to talk, to join, to talk when I use the WebEx site as a participant. So Lindsay just kind of went over it with me, but we didn't seem to find a solution. I was thinking that maybe Ginny might know, because you have an iPad.
But I'm on the town's Chromebook right now.
Okay.
So it's easy for me because, and I'm not technically good at all, but on the bottom of the Chromebook here, I can see a little bubble and it says chat. And I should get on the iPad. Oh no, my iPad's so old it won't let me log into the meeting.
That's okay. Bob is willing to help me. Yeah, it's okay. But I just wanted to let people know that I wasn't able to, aggressively advocate, because I couldn't figure out how to get on. But she did mention that she's gotten a lot of feedback about the Court Square project. And not a lot of it has been, there's not a lot of a lot of positive numbers in terms of keeping it versus those who want it. But it was really just a listening session. She did also mention the Portland Loo, that had
Yay.
come up. Yeah. I know Bob was there. Do you remember anything else?
For the Portland Loo, I think we're talking about the Capital Committee meeting.
No, this was the ARPA listening session.
No,
that
okay.
the mayor had.
I did sit in on the Capital Committee meeting, and the health director was budgeting for 2 Portland Loos, and the mayor interrupted and said, I have already budgeted for 1 out of the ARPA money, so you only need $200,000, not $400,000. And again, Jennifer Hoffman said, you know, for the out years, she was going to ask for a third, but she wasn't sure. And basically, they're going to see if 2 is enough for the town or if we need more. And they weren't exactly sure where they were going to go, but there was general enthusiasm, I think, about having a Portland Loos.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That would be great. That would be great.
That's
The only
really
thing
good
that-
news.
Yeah. That would be great. The only thing I didn't get a chance to put in was we talked about the possibility of having an electric wheelchair charging station at the town hall. So that didn't come up, and I didn't get a chance to give that input, but I will follow up on that. I don't know if we need to include that in the ARPA money or just as part of the general downtown rapid recovery program. Lindsay, what would you suggest the best way to direct that request? She's holding up her finger.
Hi, it's a little bit loud in here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think if you guys would like to pass this along, I can include it in my other email to the mayor. And we can say that, you're requesting that this be included in
Absolutely.
the plans for the future of downtown. If you've got a motion, go for it.
A point of clarification, are we talking about in town, in City Hall, or are we talking about on the common for the charging station?
I am thinking it would need to be inside, during bad weather. But then I guess that means the problem is it would only be available when City Hall was open.
Right.
This Northampton's is outside, but it is not under a covered space. Just as an FYI.
How about inside the new fire station?
That's a little bit far.
Okay, all right.
And I'm only saying that because I'm thinking of most of the people that I see using electric chairs are kind of coming from the Weldon Center or the, from the Wells Street area.
How about the library, the new library? Oh, sorry.
Laura, I'm sorry, you wanted to go ahead.
In terms of trying to find a compromise between an indoor and an outdoor place, the transportation center, the Olver Transportation Center, has a sizable awning, and their sidewalk is quite protected. I don't know if that would be complicated to put a charging station there because of the slope on Bank Road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the slope is so intense. It's not practical, to be honest. I mean, I rarely ever use Bank Road just because the slope is so,
Ridiculous.
yeah, is so significant. But that is a good idea. I mean, ideally, if we had some kind of a awning, that seems like it would make sense. Doug, you wanted to?
Have we thought about reaching out to, one of the stores like, that does have an awning, like Rite Aid has, an over the sidewalk awning, so to speak. And there is a cement area and there's an area that you can, that I think a charging station would be able to fit underneath that awning. So, I mean, that's just one store, but it's the one store that I thought that had a permanent awning, that there's no enclosure, but there at least is over, you could get out of the rain and snow overhead.
Bob, you wanted to?
I think Baker's Office Supply also has an awning. And that would be closer to the commons, where my thought was that there are events on the commons, including the farmers market, where if you've come some way, like from the Weldon, maybe you'd appreciate it and being able to plug in for a few minutes to get back to the Weldon.
Yeah.
But I agree with you,
I
Doug,
was thinking,
that Rite Aid, as a drugstore, pharmacy kind of thing, health supplies, they might be amenable to such a thing.
right. And it also would be very convenient towards the people who live on Wall Street, coming up that hill, and going back down takes a lot of battery power, and Rite Aid is right at the top of the hill.
Gotcha.
My only concern, to be honest, is having it in a place that is a private commercial building, that if, they decide to close the Rite Aid store for, that it's not doing a good business. I don't know. I guess that's why I was thinking that if we could do something around the town hall. Ginny, you wanted to?
So I agree with you. I think there may be a liability issue or something, but let's just think about, we have 2 new municipal buildings that will be opening within the city in short order. This is something that we're not actually even asking for on the budget of whatever of those new buildings. It is. We also rent the veterans. The city pays rent to the owner of the building that is the veterans on Main Street, the veterans office. And I can't think of another building on Main Street that the city pays rent. Yes, they also pay rent to the bank. That's where GSET is, and something else is, where Lindsay is probably right now. So all those being said, we have a little ace in the hole with those 4 places. I'm just trying to think as we go down Main Street, if there's any other one that that we have an office with. There also is talk, and this is just, I believe, in the talking stages, like a twinkle in somebody's eye, for, as my mother would say, that for a police presence downtown. So they must be looking at some office. They must be looking at some parcel on Main Street, perhaps more centrally located. And there are many open storefronts there. So I think that just needs to be put into, I think we just need to make a motion that, on one of our rental or newly owned properties. But if the fire station is too far, I certainly can understand that. So we could limit it to whatever we rent from, and I don't know if there's any awning that's going to be, although we've looked at the plans for the new library. We looked at the plans, but I wasn't looking about that part, if there was any overhang, and I don't really recall that. But that building also is open many evenings for, meetings, etc. It's got so that's just a thought, what it's worth.
Bob?
Might we say that we would love to see a electric wheelchair charging station somewhere, to be determined?
Yeah.
And really do a better study of where it needs to be, where people are going to find the Portland Loo, even, I don't know. Whether the redo of the Commons goes through or not. There's a lot of things that are still up in the air.
Yeah.
But to say this would be a thing that we could spend some money on.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that the location is going to make a lot of difference in the cost of it. Just needs power.
Yeah. My other thought was I might want to contact the Northampton Disability Commission. I'm just curious to see, if they have a sense of how many people use that. If you're in an electric chair, you're not going to be out in bad weather. You're not going to be out when it's raining. So it might be a bit of a moot point, but I also think that part of what can happen is you can just run out of your charge, and that could happen at any time. So I think Bob's suggestion is a good one, that I think we need to look a little further, think a little further about the best location. And I don't know how Pam thinks about the library, any place in the library, whether that's realistic or not, whether we could just put that on the list of places to think about.
You're talking about the new library.
Yes, the new library.
Yes. That would definitely be something you'd need to talk to the building committee about.
Okay.
Okay.
And Doug, you had your hand up?
I did. And maybe even the city itself, when I still think it's a good idea to put in the letter that we strongly suggest a charging unit or two be put a bug in their ear, so to speak, and a place to be put them is yet to be determined, but to at least put a bug in their ear, and maybe they might have a suggestion themselves as to where to put it, because they have a better understanding as to what property they own, what property may be more suitable than others, given where we would like approximately where the wheelchairs are coming from. they might have a suggestion themselves.
Okay. So just back to Bob's wording for this. Did we want to make a motion now?
My only question, I heard Doug or somebody say a letter,
Mhm.
and there was some discussion that Lindsay might just carry our words to the powers that be to say, the CDA is thinking that it'd be nice to spend money for a charger, not sure where to go, not even sure how many, maybe two.
Mhm.
Does that sound reasonable to you, Lindsay, or should we go to a more formal approach?
I mean, I think anytime you guys vote and we say, I can say the CDA made a motion to request that the city explore installing charging stations in downtown buildings, preferably one or two, um, or whatever the wording is, right? Anytime I can say, you all voted and this was the vote of the committee was to ask the city. Like, I think that's always stronger.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm happy to do that.
And can we add that to the motion that we made earlier about about the ramp outside of the town hall?
I would probably just put one email to the mayor's office to say,
Right.
heads up at this meeting on, November 10th, the CDA made these motions and I'd like to make sure you're aware of them.
Okay. Doug, you have your
Then I
hand.
would like to make that motion, that we do exactly that.
I'll second.
Lindsay put it pretty close to what we wanted. So I'll make that motion.
Yeah.
Did we get a second?
I second.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In favor?
Aye.
In favor.
Yeah.
Um,
All commissioners are in favor.
Yes.
Matt,
Ginny?
I have one comment on this, that there actually was a disability access problem with the meeting. And this has come up on city council meetings. I have had people come who were unable to participate because of the chat. And it is just occurring to me now, I've actually asked neighbors to come. How lucky am I that the city gave me a Chromebook, because I work off of an old iPad and that's it. And as we move to hybrid meetings, which I think will be the case, and we may no longer be using WebEx as the format, I don't know that, but I think that before we forget, that cannot continue to happen, that someone like you or another neighbor here logged onto a meeting and could not speak at a public meeting, probably in all likelihood, but I don't know this because I'm not an IT person at all. I'm the least technical person probably on the group here, but maybe because this only works if you have this kind of a thing, because you're a bright person and so's my other neighbor down the street, and they couldn't find the chat. So maybe it doesn't show up on Macs. I mean, the Mac, like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like iPad, iPhone. So
Yeah.
that's a problem that should be looked at. So if other people think that's okay, I'm going to make a motion that get looked at. I think that to me is terrible, that you went into a meeting and couldn't speak.
Bob?
I think part of it is just Robert's Rules of Order, that if there's a meeting of the Board of Health, the people who are on the Board of Health appear in the boxes and their voices can be heard. If they have a public comment period, then they can permit to speak. But, typically you type something in the chat saying Bob Williford, 97 Homestead, would like to speak. Don't have to say what I want to speak about. So then I'm in the queue. And when it comes time for public comment, they let me speak. And my picture shows up if I wanted to, and my voice is heard. But once the public comment period is shut down, or if there was no public comment period, which is not unusual, we're done. You don't get to do that. And they specifically say, do not type questions in the chat because not everybody can see the chat. So that defeats the rules of an open meeting. I have asked to speak at some meetings where there was not a public component to it. And because they know me as that damn guy that wants to come to every meeting, they sometimes let me speak. The library board let me speak to ask a question about the rear entrance to the library and if it was still going to be open. They were not required to do that, but they did. I yield.
But that's not what I mean. That is, I understand that, and some meetings entail public comment and some don't. I have been to meetings and I don't know what it is because, as many of you know, I'm not like you guys. You, Lindsay, Pam, Bob, probably all of you. I just know that people couldn't find the chat. And I'm sitting here, I turned on the Chromebook and it's there on the bottom right. But I think that's an IT problem. Am I wrong? If it's not on your screen, is that something that happens on a Mac? Then the town needs to think about that. Or am I, because people have said it is not there.
Right. And
we could ask, but I think that for those meetings that have no public comment scheduled, I think that the host of the meeting can disable the chat button. No?
Well, we don't disable the whole, as every meeting that I'm on, the chat's on the right. We say out loud, if it's like a subcommittee meeting, we don't take it, but it's there. And I think I've been on city council meetings where people said, there is no chat button for me. And it just occurred to me, Lynn, that you have an iPad. And my neighbor who couldn't get on, and I don't really know what other people, I don't know what it is, but is it accessible to everyone? And if it's actually hard to find, then that's the larger issue that we were talking about with actual access to things. If the print isn't large enough, it matters. If we can't hear. And I see Pam saying something. I knew there was somebody here that would know me more than me. Pam,
would you like to?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it may depend partially on the age of the device and how compatible it is. I know that we have had some patrons who have had problems accessing various sites and meetings, and it's because they don't have the proper things that on their device, or sometimes I'll use a silly example like a Kindle. If you have a very old Kindle, it's not going to allow you to update to the newer things. So that's one possibility.
okay.
Doug, you've got your hand up.
It's my belief that Pam hit it right on the head, is that having that kind of older technology, it just does not have the capacity to do the things that even I would be surprised that the Chromebooks that the counselors got will last even a couple more years, given the things that we do with them or the things that we'll want to do with them. computers have a shelf life of a year and a half or 2 years at best. So your technology is going to be a problem, and equipment it may not be able to because they have updates every week or so, and all of a sudden something disappears. And it's to me, it's always a way to get things get you to buy a new device that is more properly, so you'll be able to go back to using whatever you were using before that was lost. And so I think a lot of it falls on the level of technology that's on the device itself.
So I'm just gonna, I just wanted to add something that I just bought a new iPad because I was having trouble doing that. So mine is brand new, but I still cannot find a way to, when it is allowed at a meeting to chat, when you are allowed, when it says you can chat or you can ask a question, I cannot find a way to do that. And before we came on here, I asked Lindsay if she would go through the different icons that I had, and we couldn't, I couldn't find one that allowed me to chat. Lindsay? Yeah.
I have to go, but Christian's going to take over notes.
Okay.
I have two pieces. One is I attended a meeting last week on accessibility in public meetings, and that had some interesting information, and I will send that out to the group. And two is perhaps it's just a good best practice to ask the city to, after the people in the chat have been recognized, to say, anybody else unmute yourself and speak. Because then at least that allows those people who can't get into the chat to, provide themselves with that moment. I don't know that it happens at every meeting, but I have seen in meetings where people have said, for those who have not responded in the chat, if you couldn't, please unmute yourself and announce yourself. And so then that at least provides a little bit of a best practice.
Good idea.
Yeah, I was assuming it was me. So I just wasn't sure where to go to find out, but that's all right. That's a good suggestion. All right. Okay.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you, Lindsay. All right. So I think we'll move on right now from this that we were just discussing. I just wanted to quickly ask about, or just update about the ADA transition plan. I mentioned that I'd be happy to follow up with the workshops about department teaching. I haven't done that yet. I haven't contacted Jeff at MOD, but I will do that shortly. I know that Bob said he was interested in doing streets, and I loved his comment that it was like reading War and Peace to work through the transition plan. Yeah, I always appreciate your humor. And I wasn't sure if there was some other part that anybody had looked at that they wanted to take on. So, and if not, that's okay. We can continue to work on this. Okay, Bob.
I would say again that Capital Committee meeting that I sat in on, MJ Adams said that she was for the first time making a capital request for I think just $25,000 to look at the accessibility of City Hall. So I don't know if it was the letter that we got
Mhm.
that is kicking that off, or just her own initiative on that one. But that's a piece of the transition plan that's going to be looked at to see if we are getting close with that.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I just need to back up for a minute about the City Hall, the City Square pilot program, because you mentioned a letter. Lindsay has just gone, but she sent us, I think she sent us all a copy of the letter from Betty Teagle about her concern. It sounded as though Lindsay has passed that on, but I wasn't sure if we needed to, if I needed to respond personally to her. It seems as though the mayor has gotten the information. It's been passed along to her. I'm not sure where to go from here in terms of Betty Teagle's letter. But now that Lindsay's gone, I suppose I'll check with Lindsay about that.
I read Betty. Betty has been writing to us as city council.
Mhm.
I think that, you know, this committee as a whole has as much power as we take. And it's 17% of the people here are disabled and 25% are over 65.
Mhm.
So this is a very important issue. I was not happy. I mean, with the court square on a disability level, it's a nice idea. I didn't have anything, you know, but people have to get there.
Yeah.
And so I think something from, you know, disability access is absolutely important. What they were saying about the spaces out back.
Yeah.
No, they were not the same distance. They must have a different kind of measuring tape than is standard. Because it wasn't true. It wasn't the same distance. And really measuring tapes and measuring tapes. They're numbers. They don't change. That's what I like about numbers. And so I think that we need to, I think it's very important to say that I'm getting 40-1 letters on that. And I believe I am a huge proponent of open space, etc. But how many people go in there to pay their bills? This is the way they've always done it. To make any part of that any more difficult is, I have to remember I'm on camera, is absurd. That's all. How was that a good word to use?
Yeah. That's a good word.
Okay.
All right. So let me just work on the letter, the statement that we'll send, because we are losing spaces. I noticed that the handicap spot that had been in front of the church is gone as well.
And now they won't be able to put that one back.
Right.
Because, sorry.
Okay.
We won't be able to put that back because it was grandfathered and it won't meet the standard. So that was a big blanking mistake.
Yeah. Okay. So let me just work on that. I want to move along because I know that we need to do the site review, and
Yes.
the time is clicking away here. So I wanted to move on to the site review. And Bob, did you want to? First of all, thank you, Bob, for the work that you did on it. You did a wonderful job. Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome. I'm trying to share the file. right, that's not it. Everybody got a copy of it, so
Yeah.
I don't know that we need to go through the things that I said very much, unless somebody wants to or has questions about it. I was just interested to see if anybody else had something that they were concerned about that I missed.
I just had a question on what is the monitoring well? Is that, you said that's what's circled in yellow?
Right, yeah, there's this, can you see this page by any chance?
I can.
With the
Yes.
image? Yeah, this shows the slope of the parking lot. This circled in yellow thing is a water monitoring well.
Mm-hmm.
I had to look that up to try to figure out what those were. So apparently there is, or was, some contamination. So this is a monitoring well. I was concerned that it looked like the civil defense emblem on the top, that maybe this was a radiation problem.
Right.
No, that's standard on all of these monitoring wells. Thank you very much. But it's not just a little hole in the ground. It is a tube that goes down to the water level, so they can drop down monitoring equipment. It's also gasketed and sealed, so rainwater doesn't bring oil off the parking lot into where you're going to sample the water and you get a false reading.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just kind of pointing that out to the people who have this parking lot slope problem, so they don't think, oh, well, we'll just grind that off and it'll be fine. I think
Right.
it's, unless it's been abandoned, I think it's probably a pretty important thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have seen them where they've been above the ground a bit with a framework around it to keep people from backing into it, but that's the place where they have the path to get, the access path to get out of your car and your van. So it has to still be there. The second thing that did anybody have any questions about the slope of the parking lot?
Well, are they gonna, if they're supposedly gonna remedy it, how, do they just like take the whole surface up and I don't know what the term is, not realign it, but
Don't know. I'm not really making a recommendation because I'm not a construction guy or a landscaping guy. I would think that you would fill in this land here to
mhm,
raise up this part of the parking, and then actually do a ramp that comes down or a curb cut that comes down to the sidewalk.
yeah,
They are talking about taking out these steps, taking out this post that protects the gas meter. So I assume the gas meter is going.
yeah.
This what I'm seeing on my screen is really not apparently what you're seeing. I'm just seeing your list of your thumbnails or your display of your.
Okay. Let me see if I can share something else here.
Try sharing your whole screen. You probably click Share File Explorer, but then when it reopens something else, you can't see it.
Share screen. Is that
Much better.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Thank you, Krista.
Do we know anything about the history of that lot? Like, was that formerly a gas station? Or do you know for certain that it's a water testing access? I don't, it doesn't really matter to us. I just think that this would be very searching. If they do need to regrade the lot, then that's going to be their problem. And I think it was worthwhile for you to bring it to the attention.
Yeah.
A lot of rail stuff in that area, which could have contaminated groundwater, I suppose. I think there was a slaughterhouse in that area, probably where the Abercrombie building is now. don't know that that would result in long-term contamination of the water table.
That was formerly Dexter Marsh's house lot.
Really?
Yes, indeed. That was where Dexter Marsh lived.
The dinosaur footprint guy.
Yep.
Cool. Cool.
I'm looking right now on the Mass DEP website, which is now one of my all-time favorites. Okay. And as I recall, there was something there. And what I do know about those monitoring wells is they are important and they will continue to be looked at. Let me just see here now.
You'll recall that they took down an auto parts place that was in the way of the parking garage.
Right.
So don't know if that might have spilled some fluids.
Right.
I would guess that the planning folks have very detailed maps of this area that would show what that water monitoring site is all about. But I've been told that we're not actually making our recommendations to the planning board. We're making them to the zoning board.
Right. And but there is a town engineer, you know, and that person should be looking over all of these things. And I am concerned of looking at that, you know, with the slope of it, that it's, I don't know how doable it's going to be. But
I think that's the point that I'm trying to make to the zoning board now, that basically that's a really tiny parking lot. That's a problem. Yeah. When I parked there to take these pictures, I thought, okay, so I'm imagining a car on either side of me and I back out and go where? Because I pulled in from Bank Row. There's also a curb cut to take you on to Olive Street. But if you go out onto Olive Street, you're right there at the stop sign. So if you want to turn right, that's going to be a really tough turn. Somebody actually stopped for me and let me turn left, which was a good thing. But, you know, there's all the traffic coming up from underneath the railroad bridge, traffic coming down Bank Row and turning left. But even trying to get back out on Bank Row the way I came in, I was picturing that as not a really fun time. And particularly if I had any kind of a handicap, or I'm working with hand controls and trying to get the turn right and the foot feed right and the brakes right. And there are a couple trees that are in the sidewalk that are small now. And I thought at first that they were going to be a violation, but they do have kind of an asphalt compacted surround in their little tree square there. So you can roll over them with a wheelchair, I think. When they get bigger, don't know. But I just wanted to make them aware of this, so because it's not on any of the plans that I saw.
All right. Well, I think that you've done an excellent job. You know, we will submit it to the zoning board. I don't think there's a need for any other changes to it. And they will deal with the recommendations. I did find it interesting that you mentioned about using the parking spaces at the garage.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's handicap parking right in here.
Yeah.
This is the entrance to the parking garage. So you turn left, there are 4 spaces right in here. This door comes down the ramp. And this is the entrance to the building we're talking about. Yeah. Except there is no automatic door opener here.
Right.
It's a fairly light push to get the door open. I'm sure it meets the 5-pound limit, but if you haven't got the hands to do it with, it's not good. So I was also adding a recommendation that we say to the city, you might consider a door for there, or a door opener for there. I would say, for those of you who want to be sneaky about it, here's the main entrance to the parking garage. There are 2 handicap parking spots right inside the entrance.
Hmm.
And then you could wheel through these bollards here and you're on the sidewalk and go down to the dispensary. So that's, I guess, the solution. But if you park up the hill here in those 4 parking spaces that are closest to the building you're trying to get to, planning to come down the ramp, you're not going to have a door opener and you'd have to come down inside the garage. You can't get past this barrier here unless you can do limbo and go underneath of it in a wheelchair. So you'd have to cross both these lanes to get around to go between the bollards to get through. So it seems like it'd be a safety hazard and they ought to put an opener up there by the door.
Yeah. Ginny?
So actually, we can make us, I don't know if we're going, but we can write this down that as a suggestion, because it's going to be like a site plan review, or I'm not sure if it's a site plan review or a special permit, but that can be, instead of being on the town, that could be on the owner of Karen's Dance to pay for an actuator on the door. I mean, it would have to be coordinated, but it could be the responsibility for the payment of the actuator on the door, because that would probably be far less expensive for them than architecturally redesigning their parking space, their parking lot. I mean, the city would all, of course, have to agree because it's their building, but they should have thought of that to begin with. So one or the other, that there's an actuator. I don't know how that got, that was before planning board, CDA. That was before that horrible apartment deal on Pleasant Street. After that, we requested as a group that every building come before us because they put in an apartment building without handicap. They could have 2 beautiful handicap apartments right in the downtown. After that, it's changed, so everything comes through us. But the parking garage was before that.
And Bob, you had your hand up.
Well, I would say that people who park in those handicap slots that are close to the marijuana dispensary may not be going to the marijuana dispensary. They may be going across the street to meet somebody at a train. They may be going to Salvation Army. They may be going to the pizza place. So for us to say to this new business, you have to pay for an actuator for our parking garage, I don't know what percentage of people who park in those handicap slots are going to be going to the marijuana dispensary, but I'm guessing it's not all of them. So it would be unfair of us to do that. My point about a door opening switch was at the door to the dispensary. That's a separate issue to the door to the parking. You see a handicap parking ramp, a parking garage ramp, and you would think you could go up to the door and hit the button and it would open up. And we haven't got that. I assume that there's electricity there. There are electric vehicle chargers on the other side of that wall. There are lights. So I wouldn't think that it'd be a problem to find power for a door opener. But I don't think that the dispensary should be asked to pay for the whole door opener in the parking garage.
Ginny?
I agree. I was wrong. I'd make a motion that the city pay for put an actuator on the door of the parking garage.
I would second that.
I would. Yep, I agree. I second.
So
In favor.
In favor.
Yeah, I'm a yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, then.
Yes.
Those will all be, I'll write that down for Lindsay, because we've got essentially 3 motions that we came up with to ask the city about. In terms of this, I couldn't remember what the timeline is does this need to go to the zoning board by a certain date?
By the 15th of this month.
Okay. So, Ginny, did you want to?
I'd make a motion that we request that the marijuana store put an actuator on the front door of their building.
Second, Mayo.
Well, that is in our review.
That is
There's
in
not
the-
a requirement that they have one via the ADA, but we can say, yes, we'd like to have it, but there's not a requirement for them to have an actuator. for the-
If I may, I was on planning board and we always put that in now
Okay,
because we've had members of disability access on this, on planning board. So it's just, it doesn't matter. We can put that in a site plan review because they want to come here. It's not an expensive thing to do. It's easy to do in the planning stages, but any business that wants to come, we just put that right in. So it's very good for us to say it.
Okay. So, can we make a motion that we'll send this to Lindsay to submit to the zoning board? That Bob's write-up would be sent to the zoning board?
I'll make that motion.
Wait a minute, didn't we have an open, open motion with, telling them to, put an actuator on their front door?
Right,
I don't think we voted on that.
right.
Well, that's included in the report.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, I'm making a motion to forward the report to Lindsay so that she can forward it to the zoning board as is presented here. Does that
Again,
make?
second.
And excuse me, just for clarification, does this report that Bob put up make the recommendation for an actuator on the front door?
of the marijuana dispensary,
The
yes.
marijuana dispensary. Yeah.
Okay, that is a part of it. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Motion is approved. All right. Just a quick,
We have to actually vote.
oh, I'm sorry. I thought we did. Okay.
Well, we show of hands or something.
Okay.
I'm going to abstain from that one. Because
Okay.
I think we were asked to submit this to the zoning board, which would be through the ADA coordinator. So what are we voting on?
Oh.
I mean, isn't that what we're doing as we're making this recommendation
Right.
to the zoning board as they review the application to make this marijuana dispensary?
Mhm.
That we're saying, we encourage the installation of an automatic door opening switch.
Okay.
We can say at the dispensary entrance door if that makes it clearer. But to say, to have a vote to say, we should send this to the ADA coordinator to pass on to the zoning board, that's what we were asked to do.
Okay.
So
All
I
right.
can just be non-voting if you still want to do that.
No,
Abstain.
that's all right. I misunderstood.
We can, so we can strike that,
Yep.
that motion.
All right.
If Jenny agrees, yeah.
I
think it was
I
Jenny's.
withdraw my motion, but this is by the 15th. Who's sending it? Because right now, Lindsay's gone.
Not
And
here.
Huh?
Right. So that was my concern because Lindsay's not here. I was
And
just saying that I would send it to her to make sure that it gets to the zoning board.
I'm afraid it's not going to get there in time. I know how this goes. If they don't have it in hand that night, it's this is zoning board, not planning board. So if they don't have it in hand that night, they're not going to see it. So we've all made a recommendation. Maybe Bob should send it. because we don't have a city representative on.
Send it to the zoning board or send it?
Is
To-
Christian on this call?
Yes.
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 Yeah,
Christian,
I'm
can
here.
you make sure that this gets to them like right after the meeting?
Yeah, I'll tell
Okay.
Lindsay she's send it. Yep.
Okay, and then CC it to us so we can make sure that it gets there in time. That we see that it's getting there in time.
I can address it to everybody,
Okay.
including Christian and Lindsay.
Good. All right, then
So
I withdraw my
everybody
motion.
knows what we're saying.
All right, very good.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to confuse things more. Okay, just a quick announcement that Bob is really good about sending out notices for the US Access Board webinars, and some of them are really interesting. So just when he sends that out, I'd suggest that people take a look. And then our next meeting is December 9th. And I wanted to ask if, I know that we usually in the past took time off because we had physical meetings to go to. I know we can continue doing them on Zoom now, on WebEx. But I wanted to know if people wanted to take a month off, or if there was any feeling about that one way or the other. Bob.
Well, I would say that now that we're tied into the planning business, seems like we got called in early for the last one and had to have a special meeting.
Mhm.
So we might have to have special meetings anyway. I don't know.
Right. That was my thought too. Yeah. And Ginny?
I agree. I think that may be, I just want to tell everybody that it's possible that I may not be available, very possible, that I may be down with the pumpkins. I know that it's in the middle of the day via WebEx, which will be exactly when I'm needed, you know, as opposed to evening meetings.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
as long as the others can come, I'm sorry that will be derelict in my duties.
Okay. And I may be away for the month of January. I'm not sure yet. I'm hoping to go visit my family in Atlanta. So we'll see. But I'll keep you posted. Bob?
I just wanted to thank Laura for coming to the meeting, because I know that she is here not only to provide her thoughts on what we're talking about, but also to make sure we have a quorum. So thank you very much, Laura.
Thank you, Laura.
My
Yeah.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay, then I'm going to adjourn the meeting. There's
Okay.
anything else? We all good?
I second the adjourning.
Bye, everyone. Thank
In
you.
favor.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Happy pumpkining.
Yeah.
Have
Have fun with the
They
twins.
are adorable. Wait
I
a minute.
bet.
Oh, I can't do it now. I'll send you all a picture.
That
They're
would be
just so
great.
cute. Okay.
That would be great.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Christian. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks.